This is Vader Reviews. We are honored that you would join us. It's officially 2022, and what better way to kick off a new year than by reviewing a new Star Wars show? When Boba Fett made his violent return in Season 2 of The Mandalorian, fans all across the galaxy were understandably hyped for his own series, particularly given the quote by Robert Rodriguez that the Book of Boba Fett would be all killer, no filler. Before we begin, this week's video is brought to you by the generosity of I'm Just Happy to Be a Stormtrooper, Adam Jordan. The Empire thanks you for your support, my friend. So what did I think of the show? While the series has potential, sadly, this first outing was Boba Fetted by continuity problems and certain creative decisions that greatly hindered my personal enjoyment. Now, I don't want to seem like Darth Vader over here, because I was genuinely excited for this show, and I do hope it will get better. But gee whiz, was this a slow episode. Mandalorian more like Mandalorian, am I right? The story jumps back and forth between Boba and his flashback tank dreaming about his fun in the sun as he was enslaved by the Sand People, where he must contemplate his existence on the stump of woe, when he isn't being beaten by Tusken younglings. His little dances with Bantha's adventure comes to an end when he proves himself to the tribe by killing a cheesy Harryhausen monster. Something about these Disney Plus Sand People has always bugged me, and I finally figured it out. It's pretty hard to be scared of them when they sound like Thermians from Galaxy Quest. Now, when he's not having his flashbacks, Boba spends his time wandering around trying to convince everyone he's in charge. Keep in mind, Boba Fett was the most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy. I singled him out personally in order to tell him not to disintegrate people in Episode 5. But now, he's the Disney Plus version that's decided he's going to be a nice cuddly crime lord that wins people over with his positive mental attitude. Also, the city is supposed to be Mos Espa, but I grew up in Mos Espa, and it wasn't built inside of a giant crater. This leads me to my biggest problem with the show. I find the lack of continuity disturbing. Now, it's no secret Star Wars has had problems remaining true to George Lucas's original vision of the franchise. You'd think they could at least keep continuity with themselves, but they can't even manage this. When we last saw Boba Fett on The Mandalorian, he was a ruthless monster on the battlefield, single-handedly destroying an entire platoon of stormtroopers. Falling into the Sarlacc had left him scarred and more brutal than we'd ever seen, and I absolutely loved it. But on his own show, he's a bit Sarlacking in ferocity, getting worn out after one boring fight with some parkour Power Rangers. On The Mandalorian, Fett threatened to have Fennec Shand shoot Baby Yoda in the head if he didn't get his favorite hat back. Think about that for a minute. And now suddenly, he wants to rule with respect and be a kinder, gentler crime lord. In short, it doesn't Boba fit the character. Boba even takes crap from some annoying Twi'lek messenger boy. And I gotta say, I'm getting pretty tired of Disney casting these comedians as side characters in their Star Wars shows. I can never take them seriously. The whole time I was watching this scene, I couldn't help but think Jeffrey Combs would have been so much better as the Twi'lek. He played Weyoun in Deep Space Nine, and he even hung out with some aliens that looked like Star Wars bounty hunters, so he'd fit right in. The continuity problems are not just character-based, however. It gets down to poor filmmaking in some cases. Let me explain. Earlier in the episode, Boba frees a couple of condemned Gamorreans, or as I like to call them, pigs in space. And out of gratitude, the uncultured swine become his bodyguards, following him all around Tatooine. That is, of course, until Boba and Fennec get jumped by a group of parkour Power Rangers, because the second they're attacked, the pigs are nowhere to be seen. Almost like the filmmakers left them out so our two main characters could be surrounded. Green Eggs and Ham miraculously rematerialize back into the plot in a ham-fisted way to save Boba's bacon, after he blows himself up with his own rocket like a noob who's never played Jet Force Gemini. It gets even worse though. Why didn't Boba just fly away? He has a jetpack. They could have solved this glaring problem by having one of the Ninjago guys damage Boba Fett's jetpack with his first attack. That way, it would make sense how they kept our plucky heroes corralled behind their energy shields. And speaking of energy shields, most people would leave their shields on when a 300-pound machete-wielding swine was charging at you. But not these guys. These geniuses promptly turn off all of their shields. And why, you may ask? Why, so the good guys can win, of course. On top of all the inconsistencies and conveniences, the scene was a bore. And I know I'm talking about Star Trek a lot, but there's something else that isn't quite kosher. This little piggy's knife is basically a mek'leth without a handguard. Why didn't they just give the Gamorreans vibro axes? That'll do, pig. That'll do. Honestly, I feel the teaser at the end of Season 2 of The Mandalorian, where Boba shoots Bib Fortuna and sits down in the throne, did a much better job setting up Boba's rise to power than this entire episode did. I truly hope the series gets better, because it's only 7 episodes long, so when you have a dud like this, it is sorely felt. It's not like the 80s when you had 26 episodes of a television show. When you have small seasons like these streaming shows, you have to make every episode count. But those are my thoughts on Chapter 1 of the Book of Boba Fett. What did you think of it? Comment below. And if you're new here, join the Empire today by subscribing, so you never miss our weekly videos. And always remember, you don't know the power of the dark side.